The Hidden Treasure of the Desert. Chapter 1. The Ancient Map. It was a sweltering afternoon in the bustling city of Masira, located on the very edge of the endless desert. Dust swirled in the air, mixing with the sharp, bitter scent of dry sand. Amidst the crowds in the local bazaar, a young archaeologist named Khalid Al-Mansour stood, examining a curious object. It was an old, weathered map that he had just acquired from a mysterious merchant. The map was unlike any Khalid had seen before. Its ink was faded, and the parchment itself had the texture of something centuries old. There were markings on it, cryptic symbols, and drawings of landmarks that had no name, but one thing was clear: it pointed toward the heart of the desert, where legend spoke of a treasure buried beneath the scorching sands. Khalid had always been fascinated by the stories of the ancient kings who had ruled this region, but it wasn't the treasure that drew him in, it was the mystery. The treasure was merely a legend, but the story of how it had been hidden was far more intriguing. "Are you sure you want to pursue this?" Khalid asked his friend Omar, a local merchant who had seen many things in his years in Masira. The desert is vast, and many have gone seeking such treasures. None have returned. Khalid, however, felt a strange pull. The map, almost as if alive, whispered to him. The treasure was calling, and he had no choice but to answer. With a heart full of excitement and a mind brimming with questions, Khalid prepared for the journey. He gathered supplies, water, food, and a few essential tools, and set out on horseback, determined to uncover the secrets hidden in the heart of the desert. Chapter 2. The journey begins. Khalid's single quote says, "Journey into the desert was nothing like he had imagined." The sun blazed mercilessly overhead, and the sand seemed to stretch on forever, an unbroken sea of golden waves. Despite his preparation, he felt the weight of isolation pressing down on him, and the wind howled with a strange, almost mocking sound, as if the desert itself was aware of his intrusion. For days, Khalid rode without seeing another soul. The map led him across shifting dunes, past strange rock formations, and into areas that seemed devoid of life. At night, he would make camp and study the map, trying to decipher its secrets. The symbols, though intricate, seemed to guide him toward a specific spot in the farthest reaches of the desert, a place known as the Whispering Tomb. The name sounded ominous, but Khalid could not turn back now. The allure of the treasure and the desire to solve the mystery drove him onward. On the fourth day, just as the sun began to set, Khalid reached an oasis. The small pool of water was surrounded by palm trees, and a gentle breeze stirred the air. It was a rare and welcome sight in the unforgiving desert. Khalid dismounted and knelt by the water, replenishing his canteen and letting the coolness refresh him. But as he looked around, he noticed something strange. A figure was standing by the edge of the oasis, a tall man, dressed in tattered robes. His face was obscured by a hood, but Khalid could feel his gaze fixed on him. "Who are you?" Khalid called out, his voice cutting through the stillness. The figure did not respond. Instead, he pointed toward the far horizon, where the sun was now sinking beneath its dunes. "You seek the treasure, but it is not for the faint of heart," the figure said, his voice raspy and low. "The desert does not yield its secrets easily." Khalid's heart raced. "What do you mean? Do you know where it is?" The figure nodded slowly. "The treasure you seek lies within the Whispering Tomb, but beware, for it is guarded by forces beyond your understanding. Double quotes. Before Khalid could ask more, the figure vanished into the shadows of the night, leaving Khalid to ponder his words. Chapter 3. The Whispering Tomb. The next day, Khalid continued his journey, the words of the mysterious figure haunting him as he rode. The sandstorm began to pick up, and the Temperature dropped drastically, soon. He could see the faint outline of a structure emerging from the dunes. The whispering tomb was real, Collard's heart pounded as he approached the entrance, a massive archway carved in two. The side of a cliff, the tomb was ancient. Older than any civilization he had studied. And its entrance was guarded by intricate carvings of strange symbols. As Collard stepped inside, the air grew cold and thick with dust. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the sound of his footsteps echoing off the stone walls. The deeper he ventured into the tomb, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The faint whisper seemed to grow louder, swirling around him in the darkness, as if the very walls of the tomb were alive. Eventually, he reached a large chamber, at the center of which stood a pedestal. On the pedestal rested a golden chest. Encrusted with jewels, the treasure was real, and it shimmered in the dim light of the tomb. But something was wrong. Collard felt a sense of dread wash over him. He knew that this treasure came at a cost, and that cost was not just gold or jewels, it was something far more dangerous. Chapter 4. The Guardian's curse. As Collard approached the chest, a low growl echoed from the shadows. The whispers grew louder, and a figure emerged from the darkness, a massive creature, part man and part beast, covered in scales and adorned with ancient armor. Its eyes glowed with a supernatural light, and its voice, when it spoke, was like the rumble of thunder. Only those who prove their worth may claim the treasure, the creature growled, its voice echoing through the tomb. You must face the trials of the desert. Collard's heart raced. He had heard legends of guardians beings tasked with protecting ancient treasures, but this creature was something far more terrifying than any tale he had ever heard. I will face whatever trials you set before me, Collard declared, his voice steady. Despite the fear rising in his chest. The creature nodded once, then prove your resolve. With that, the floor beneath Collard's feet began to shift, and the chamber was filled with a blinding light. Collard was thrown into a series of trials, each more difficult than the last. The first trial was one of endurance. He was forced to cross a pit of scorching sands with no water to sustain him. The second trial tested his intellect, as he had to solve a series of riddles that seemed to twist and turn upon themselves. The third trial was one of courage, where he faced terrifying visions of his deepest fears. But Collard did not falter. He pressed on, each trial harder than the last, but with each step, he felt a growing strength within himself. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the creature stood before him once more. You have passed the trials, it said, its voice softer now. You are worthy. With a final, echoing growl, the creature vanished, leaving Collard alone with the treasure. Chapter 5. The true course. As Collard opened the chest, he was not met with riches, but with something far more valuable: ancient scrolls, writings that contain the lost knowledge of a forgotten civilization. The treasure was not gold, but wisdom, a gift that would change the course of history. But as he held the scrolls in his hands, Collard felt a sharp pain in his chest. The trials had taken their toll, and he realized that the true cost of the treasure was not just the physical challenges, but the burden of knowledge itself. He now carried the weight of an ancient secret, one that could change the world, for better or worse. The whispers in the tomb seemed to grow louder once more, and Collard knew that his journey was far from over. The desert had given him the treasure, but it had also bound him to its mysteries forever. As he turned to leave the whispering tomb, Collard understood that the desert had not merely hidden a treasure, it had tested his soul, and now he was no longer just a seeker of history. He was part of the legend himself. Epilogue: A new beginning. Collard returned to Masira, a changed man. The treasure had not been what he expected, but it had been everything he needed with the knowledge he had. Uncovered, he set out to share the lost wisdom of the ancients with the world, determined to unlock the secrets that had remained hidden for centuries. But the desert, Khalid knew, would always call to him. The whispering tomb had given him its treasure, but it was not the end, it was only the beginning of a new chapter in a story that was far from finished.